on NewsX. Well, let's take a look at some of the headlines of this hour. Japanese Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi says she wants to accelerate talks on amending the constitution and reforming imperial succession rules. Speaking in parliament, she calls for cross-party cooperation to revise the imperial house law and advance national debate. President Donald Trump warns Iran that it has 10 to 15 days to strike a deal over its nuclear program or face really bad things, as Tehran threatens to retaliate against U.S. bases if attacked amid a major U.S. military buildup in the Middle East. Trump says talks are progressing but insists Iran must agree to a meaningful settlement. And former Prince Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is released from police custody after being arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office over claims he sent confidential government documents to Jeffrey Epstein. Detectives from Thames Valley Police questioned him for hours as they investigate allegations he passed the files while serving as a trade envoy. Hamas says any political path for Gaza must begin with a total halt to Israeli aggression and the lifting of the blockade. Following the first meeting of President Donald Trump's Board of Peace, the group adds that any future arrangement must guarantee Palestinians' rights, including freedom and self-determination. South Korea's former president, Yoon Suk-yeol, apologizes for the hardship caused by his 2024 martial law decree, one day after being sentenced to life in prison. In a statement released through his lawyer, Yoon says he's deeply sorry for the frustration caused by his actions. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un says the country has moved beyond its worst difficulties as he opens a key party congress in Pyongyang. State media quotes him saying the nation now enters a stage of optimism and confidence after years of hardship. Venezuela's ruling party-led legislature approves a limited amnesty bill that rights groups say does not go far enough to free hundreds of political prisoners. Interim President Delcy Rodriguez releases some detainees while easing oil tensions with Washington. French President Emmanuel Macron clashes with Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni after a far-right activist is beaten to death in Lyon. Meloni blames left-wing extremists and calls it a wound for Europe, while Macron urges her to stay in her own lane. For this hour, we start with the breaking news coming in. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov is reportedly holding talks with his Iranian counterpart Abbas Araghchi, discussing Iran's nuclear program. This comes as U.S. President Donald Trump is increasing pressure on Iran to come on to terms with its conditions, which involve halting Iran's nuclear and other ballistic missiles program. The U.S. is also intensifying its military buildup in the region, and many sources have claimed that Trump could be deliberating an attack on Iran's facilities and government sites. Earlier in the week, Lavrov also warned of serious consequences for the international community in the event that U.S. strikes Iran. Now we have another breaking news coming in from Russia and Japan. The Kremlin has said that relations with Japan has been reduced to zero over Tokyo's current hostile stance towards Russia, further adding that there has been no ongoing peace dialogue between the two countries. This comes as Japan's Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi remarked in her inaugural address in the parliament that Tokyo was keen on resolving its territorial issue with Russia and reaching a peace treaty. Russia and Japan have never signed a formal World War II peace treaty, as the main obstacle remains an unresolved territorial dispute over Kuril Islands, which Japan claims as its northern territories. Now for this hour, we start with India. U.S. Ambassador to India Sergio Gore has commented on India's oil sourcing, stressing the U.S. position against the purchase of Russian oil. Mr. Gore said the U.S. does not want any country to buy oil from Russia, reiterating President Trump's call for energy decoupling to help bring an end to the Ukraine crisis. while the Ministry of External Affairs has highlighted India's strategy to diversify energy sourcing to ensure energy security for its population of 1.4 billion. Ambassador Gore also expressed confidence in India's role in the US-led Pax Silica initiative aimed at strengthening global supply chains. Ambassador Gore hinted at the imminent signing of the US-India interim trade deal, with both countries close to finalizing the agreement, while he also stated that the Quad remains a top priority for Washington, sending a strong message to the world. He also noted that the first meeting held by US Secretary of State Marco Rubio after taking office was with the Quad, underlining its importance. Ambassador Gore added that while exact dates are not finalized, Secretary Rubio is expected to travel to India in the next few months as part of a Quad-related engagement. On energy, he has confirmed active discussions over India's oil imports are underway, with details still pending public announcement. While External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has also clarified that a Quad leaders summit was never formally scheduled, but working groups continue to operate, signaling sustained cooperation among the four nations. Now for this, we welcome Major General Dr. Rajan Kochar. He's a senior strategic and international affairs expert, joins us live from New Delhi. Thank you very much, Major General Doctor, for joining us again. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Now, it seemed before Ambassador Gore came to India and US's relationship was very turmoil. How do you analyze the current relationship ever since Mr. Gore has arrived to India?
Thank you, Usama. I think there has been a perceptible change in the US attitude because Sergey Gore is a very, very close confidant of President Trump, and he has the eyes and ears of President Trump. So I think that is making a difference. And not only he is looking after India, he is also responsible for the South Asian region. And therefore, I feel that the kind of statements which he is making from time to time are very, very positive. Secondly, he is making an attempt to meet the people in power in Delhi. He has frequent meetings in the Ministry of External Affairs, and recently visited the Western Command and things like this. So there has been a perceptible change I can see in the softening of the attitude. He's trying to create a conducive atmosphere for setting back those strained ties, if I would say that. So that's why his present statement also is by and large on those lines, and he's trying to indicate that it is not India specific as far as the Russian oil is concerned. It is across the board, because they don't want any country to engage with Russia as far as building up the revenue or improving the economy of the Russians to carry on this war and prolong this war.
Right.
A second important aspect, yeah, please.
Yes. Major General, you can carry on, sorry. Yeah.
A second important aspect is about the Quad. There is a diplomacy involved here, and there is a signaling involved here that previously it was being thought that the next Quad summit, President Trump, which is going to be held in India, President Trump is not going to attend, but now I think a perceptible change is taking place, and he is now carrying out a realignment of that strategy, and Marco Rubio's visit has been announced. So I think that's a positive sign. Likely objective here when Marco Rubio comes to India is going to be how a strategic convergence is maintained on China and stability in the Indo-Pacific, because both are India's concern also.
And yes, Major General, talking about India's concern, how will India be balancing the relationship with US while also balancing the Russia-India close ties?
see, you have to understand one thing that if you weigh these two options, because we can talk about strategic autonomy and all those things are fine. But if you weigh these two options, Russia and the US, obviously the tilt is in towards US, because Russia has been weakened to a large extent, and therefore I think that India's strategy would be more towards an inclination towards the United States, because of a large number of tie-ups and large number of linkages, I would say, with the US in terms of technology, COMCOSA, BECA, and trust, all these, and ISET, and all these things actually are extremely important. So I think there is going to be a balance of kind, and already we are trying to sort of appease the United States, as you would have seen, that India's import of oil from Russia has declined considerably. So that is a signal to the United States that we are more concerned of our relationship with the US than with Russia. And possibly there is some kind of tacit understanding with Russia also, considering our situation, present situation. I think Russia has been fairly understanding about it, and we have not seen any harsh or unpalatable statements emanating from Russia.
Thank you very much, Dr. Major General Kochar, for sharing that insight with us. Now we move on to Spain. Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez is seeing domestic political gains from his firm anti-Trump stance, even as it begins to strain relationship with the US. According to reports, analysts say Sanchez's criticism of US President Donald Trump has resonated with left-wing and centrist voters at home, strengthening his political position. However, the tough rhetoric is testing Madrid's ties with Washington at the time of heightened geopolitical tensions. Sanchez has defended his approach as necessary to protect European interests, even as officials stress the importance of maintaining strong transatlantic relations. Let's listen into what the leaders have shared on this.
It was Spain. Spain. You have to call them and find why are they a laggard. And they're doing well, too. You know, the funny thing, because of a lot of the things we've done, they're doing fine. They have no excuse not to do this, but that's all right. Maybe you should throw them out of NATO, frankly.
I think Spain should be reprimanded for that. I think it's very bad that they did that, but that's up to them. That's up to NATO and Spain.
España no tiene sentido comprometerse a gastar el 5% del Producto Interior Bruto en defensa.
Now we welcome Dr. Satoru Nagao. He's a fellow at Hudson Institute, joins us live from Tokyo. Thank you very much, Dr. Nagao, for joining us again. Good to see you. Now, looking at this, can you tell us what's the strategy of gaining popularity while attacking a leader abroad, while this, now that it's affecting to the place where it's affecting international relations with US?
President Trump's strong push to increase the defense budget is relatively acceptable to countries around Ukraine, because they have already increased the defense budget to 5% of the GDP. But Spain is located far from Ukraine, another edge of the Europe. So that's why Spain want to resist this very strongly, and friction has happened between US and Spain very strongly. So that's why the reaction came from Spain. They will keep their defense budget the 2% of the GDP level, and cancel importing the F-35 stealth fighter jet from the United States. But this kind of the strong resistance has happened in Spain, and it is very big problem in the US and Spain. So under such kind of situation, the mood is escalated, and anti-US stance is one of the cards for the politician in Spain, because in the survey, the disapproval rate against President Trump was increased from the 45% in the beginning of the 2025 when the President Trump swore in to the 66% recently. So that's why the if the politician in Spain shows a strong resistance against President Trump, it is a good card to increase their popularity in Spain now. But that as a result, indeed, this is a little bit similar tactics with President Trump. But anyway, Spain tried to resist President Trump. So in this case, worry is what kind of reaction will come from the President Trump now.
Yes, and how do you think how would President Trump be eyeing this or be alert about Sanchez, Spanish leaders, these kind of remarks? Do you think he will be understanding that, okay, he's doing this for domestic audience?
Because President Trump needs to deal with many countries at the same time. In this case, other countries accept President Trump's request. In this case, these countries should be the country who get the benefit in front of President Trump, and vice versa. So in case of Spain, in front of the other countries, the President Trump need to punish them. Something like that is the idea based on the tariff-related rule. So there's a possibility tariff will be the matter, I think. But when it will apply, or what kind of negotiation will happen, even if the politician in Spain try to get the disapproval rate of the President Trump. So that's why it relies on this negotiation, I think. But in the public space, clearly criticize President Trump means it is clear challenge against President Trump, and President Trump need to react to this. That could happen, and a very high possibility, I believe.
Yes, we will be eyeing that. Thank you very much, Dr. Nagao, for sharing that insight with us. Please stay with us as we come back to you. Now, moving on to Epstein. According to recently released emails, Jeffrey Epstein is reported to have considered investing in the music company EMI after his associate David Stern appeared to suggest it potentially offered access to women. The emails made public by the U.S. Department of Justice shows that Epstein's close associate David Stern flagged EMI's troubled financial situation while suggesting a potential deal. Stern referred to the music industry as related to PE, a term Epstein used for women. Despite discussions and a proposed investment, the deal did not go through. Later attempts to acquire EMI, including an associated bid in 2011, were also unsuccessful. Now we welcome back Dr. Satoru Nagao. He's a fellow at Hudson Institute, joins us live from Tokyo. Thank you very much, Dr. Nagao, for staying with us. Now looking at this, Epstein's another emails related discussion. How do you think music, or how do you think businesses were used, not just in terms of investments, but Jeffrey Epstein seems to have other motivation or intentions for investments? And do we know anything other than what I've read out for this failed investment case on EMI?
Yeah, in this case, this is still under investigation, and more information will published later. So that's why I cannot say something certain. But view from this situation, I think criminal Epstein access to the many cultural sector, especially the singer or other, to get the beautiful women. So because he committed a crime by using the many women as just resources to what he want to do is maybe it is not easy to imagine, but anyway, it is true that he illegally trade women illegally, but in this case, these women he delivered to the other customer who is a very celeb customer. So that's why these women should be the beautiful and other resources valuable, but kidnap and maybe something. This is crime, of course. So that's why he do not think this is crime, but other people believe this is really bad thing. So that's why something this kind of if this is a product that is a high quality product, something like that he's thinking, I guess. So that's why the access to the singer could be the one of the effective methods to get these high quality products for him. So EMI was a connection with the cultural minister of France or other sector, maybe Russia or other country, I think. Every time he focusing on this because this is the effective way to correct. That is the reason he focusing on, I guess.
Right. Yes, thank you for sharing that insight with us, Dr. Nagao. Thank you very much. Now we move on. We have a breaking news coming in from Russia. Ukraine has announced that a plot to assassinate top officials allegedly ordered by Moscow has been foiled. 10 suspects have been arrested, with 7 detained in Ukraine and 3 in Moldova. Ukrainian law enforcement, in collaboration with Moldovan authorities, uncovered an organized group preparing contract killings of prominent Ukrainian figures. The group, which had communications with Russian handlers, was found with weapons, explosives, and large sums of money, including payouts of up to $100,000. Among the officials targeted was Andriy Yusov, a key figure in Ukraine's military strategic communications and prisoner exchanges with Russia. Now we move on to U.S. Florida's Palm Beach International Airport is on track to be renamed the President Donald J. Trump International Airport after lawmakers in the Republican-led Florida legislature approved a bill to change its name. The proposal sailed through both chambers, the State House and Senate, with strong GOP support. Reflecting Mr. Trump's personal connection to the area, he lives a short distance away in Mar-a-Lago, Palm Beach. The measure now goes to Governor Ron DeSantis, who is expected to sign it into law before it becomes official. Under the plan, the airport's current name, used since 1948, would be replaced, but the change still requires approval from the Federal Aviation Administration. Supporters argue the airport deserves to reflect Trump's impact and investments, while opponents, chiefly Democrats, object, saying it's inappropriate to name a major public facility after a sitting leader and that local residents weren't adequately consulted. Separately, Trump-linked business entities have filed trademark applications for variations of the new airport name, raising questions about branding and licensing, though the Trump organization says it will waive financial claims. Now we move on to our next news. Aerial footage showed flooded farmlands and homes between the French towns of Agen and La Riole after the Garonne River in southwest France swelled. The country is experiencing its rainiest period in decades, with 3 departments remaining in Metro France's red alert for high water levels and flooding. This comes after 36 consecutive days of rain, the longest on record. Authorities are working to provide supplies to residents as rainfall continues, although milder weather is expected by the weekend. That's all we have time for. Keep watching NewsX World for more news updates from around the world.